Welcome to the B.F. Anderson Technical Report for December the 31st. As we get into the charts, you can clearly see that the Nasdaq continues in an uptrend. Both moving averages are in a positive trend. Everything looks fine here. On the weekly graph, where we're looking at the moving average, the 35-week moving average, still in an uptrend. We're still in a bull market. The high-low index, which is on the New York Stock Exchange, we're looking at number new highs, net new highs. And you can see here we're continuing to see positive territory here. We kind of flattened out a little bit, but continues to be constructive. New lows, no new lows to speak of. We're under 40 a day, not even close. Yesterday we only had 5. Very nice looking chart. Now here we have the golden cross, which is the 10-month versus the 20-month moving averages. We continue to be on a golden cross on the S&P. We're on a golden cross on the Nasdaq. And we're on a golden cross on China. On the aggression index, continues to look in a positive uptrend, a little bit of a pullback here in the last couple of days. Probably some window dressing going on here with some of these portfolio managers that have really big gains in these tech stocks. This is the actual indicator where we're looking at the 40-week moving average of the ratio. So far the ratio is in a positive trend above the lower moving average. Our 3 economic indicators, interest rates continue to stay flat. Oil kind of creeping up a little bit. Maybe if it broke out above 50 a barrel, West Texas Intermediate, that could be meaningful. We have the financial stocks. We'll talk a little bit more about financial stocks here, but are in an uptrend, kind of flattening out here in the near term, but above the 200-day moving average, and the 200-day moving average is starting to turn up. That's very important because we need our financials. Now in the S&P 500 on a daily graph, we're going to continue to be above the moving averages in a strong uptrend. We're above the 200-day moving average, no problem there. Now on sentiment, we continue to see, the fear and the greed emotions. We are very deep into greed, which is the only real troubling area here. Usually when we get a correction in the market, it's when we've had a lot of greed, a lot of enthusiasm. This is how market tops are formed, so we need to be aware of it, but so far I would not be selling everything, but I would be aware of it. Volatility index continues to be quiet. Now this has a lot to do with sentiment, what we just mentioned here. When volatility is low, it has a way of sucking in investors that normally probably wouldn't come into the market and bringing fresh dollars in. Now, I wanted to mention something we talked about last week. Last week, we talked about how you can use moving averages, and there's just different moving averages, whatever makes sense to you. Well, I was contacted, or a friend shared with me. He said, go look at the 200-day versus the 225-day. And what he mentioned was that you get a golden cross. Now, I like golden crosses and death crosses because they're so definitive. There's no... really there's no judgment involved. It's simply saying, hey, we are crossing. The 200-day is crossing above the 250-day. And you can see here I've got the S&P index here. Now, this has only happened when we get this golden cross under some specific circumstances I won't go into, but it's pretty straightforward. Anyway, we've gotten 12 of them since 1982. So we just got one here. 1 year later, the average gain on the Nasdaq was 24.18. The average gain on the S&P was 18.82. But you can tell here that this is somewhat of a confirmation signal because it's pretty late. I mean, it would have been nice to get the signal back here, but we're getting the signal here. So let's just kind of step back and look at what's happened in the past here with this very indicator. Again, I've got the 200-day crossing below the 225 daily moving average. And this was in, what year was this? I believe this was 95. Oh gosh, I don't have the year on here, but you can see here, definite downtrend. This was 08, this was 2008. So anyway, you got the definite downtrend. You can see the death cross really didn't work in your favor here. So let's look at some positive situations. This is 1995. You got the golden cross here. Beautiful uptrend, pretty much stayed without going into a death cross pretty much the entire time for about 5 years. Here we have the same situation, 1991. You got the golden cross. Again, you can see here pretty steady. Then we have 2003, same scenario. You can see the general point here. Now the thing that is really important though is that we just got this week a golden cross on that 225 versus 200. So we'll see. It's a confirmation signal saying basically what it's saying is that the uptrend has been established and continues to be in an uptrend. Now here we have the financial stocks. Just wanted to mention that real quick. The graph is looking somewhat more positive. This is the XLF, which is an ETF that it mainly invests in financial banks, insurance companies, things like that. So it looks positive. Then also I wanted you to look at this one. This is just a company called North American Tech Software. This is North American software companies. You can see how positive that trend has been. Now here we have Wilder Hill Clean Energy. So this is a clean energy, like a battery play. You can see that as well. So those were just a couple of ETFs that caught my eye. Now here are the top 5. Tapestry, which is mainly women's clothing and accessories, breaking out of a base here. It looks interesting now, but I would want to see some more of a confirmation from volume, where you're really seeing those institutional investors coming in. You know, volume is basically saying if you study it long enough, you start to see patterns where buyers come in or sellers come in. In this case, we're kind of neutral. Sun Power, this is, alternative energy play where you've got they manufacture the equipment, kind of broken down a little bit here. I would wait on this one. Freeport-McMoRan Copper, look at this. This really broke out on very heavy volume. So this is where that institutional money's coming in and the buyers are outnumbering the sellers. Very simple. So we broke out of this basic pattern here. Looks good. If copper is strong, it means that the market is discounting additional economic activity. Now here is Grow Generation, which is in the marijuana business, basically involved in making the equipment for growing marijuana. Kind of looks interesting here. Again, I would look for that volume confirmation. Not really seeing that yet. This is Pinduoduo. This is Chinese. It's a Chinese retailer. A lot been going on this week in the Chinese retailers, Alibaba, JD.com, Pinduoduo. A lot to do with the Chinese government. But you can see here you're getting what I would call a twin tower volume spike, and the stock is really breaking out. So you want to keep an eye on this one. So that's it. If you have any questions, please give me a call. Thank you very much.